This is Heliox, where evidence meets empathy. Independent, moderated, timely, deep, gentle, clinical, global, and community conversations about things that matter. Breathe easy. We go deep and lightly surface the big ideas. Ever feel like time just gets away from you? Like you're drowning in this sea of to-do lists, and yet you never seem to make any real progress.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
You're definitely not alone.
Right.
It seems like so many of us are feeling that way.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're diving deep into this really interesting excerpt from this article. Understanding Time Control, Why We Feel Time Slipping Away by Baroka Bo.
Okay.
And Kamila Kolpashnikova.
Interesting.
Now get this.
Okay.
Even though statistically data shows that a lot of people actually have more leisure time than ever, we're feeling even more rushed.
Right.
So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack why is that?
Yeah.
You know, how are societal norms and all these things playing into this whole time crunch?
Okay.
And most importantly, what are some practical things we can do to wrestle back control of our schedules?
So I think one of the most fascinating things that the authors highlight right off the bat is this whole paradox of leisure.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
like
we have more free time, but it feels like our lives are just dominated by the sense of urgency all the time.
It's like we're on this hamster wheel and we can't get off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I thought it was really interesting how the article actually gives this really vivid example of the morning routine that so many of us have.
Oh, gosh, don't even get me started.
You wake up, grab your phone, and boom, an hour's gone.
Totally.
You're just scrolling through emails and the news and everything.
It's scary how quickly that time just disappears.
Yeah.
You know?
It really is.
And I think that feeds into what they call this cycle of rushing and consumption. You know, we work so hard to buy things that are supposed to save us time, like a faster computer, a fancy new coffee machine or something like that. But then those very things demand even more of our time.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like you have to set up the computer.
Okay.
You have to, clean the coffee machine.
Yeah.
It's never ending.
Right. So it's almost like you're trading one-time suck for another.
Exactly.
Wouldn't you say, though, that those are just personal choices?
Okay, sure.
I mean, if I choose to spend my weekend, deep cleaning my coffee machine instead of relaxing, that's kind of on me, right?
You're right. You definitely have a point there.
Yeah.
But the authors, they really emphasize that it's not just about these individual choices.
Okay.
It's also about, these societal messages that we're constantly bombarded with.
Okay.
This pressure to always be productive.
Yeah.
Always get the newest gadget.
Okay.
Optimize every single minute.
So it's almost like we're being conditioned to value efficiency above everything else.
Yeah.
Even our own well-being.
Exactly. It's like this constant striving.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another really interesting point that they make in the article. And it's this idea that time is social.
Okay.
You know, our relationships and our networks really profoundly impact our experience of time.
That makes total sense. You know, if we want to nurture relationships, we have to actually dedicate time to those people.
Exactly.
Right. And that might mean, sacrificing a bit of our personal time or leisure.
Absolutely.
And it's like this constant balancing act.
It is.
Trying to figure out where to put our time and energy.
Yeah. And the authors also make this really important point.
Right.
That not everyone has the same level of control over their time.
Right.
You know, socioeconomic and demographic factors play a huge role.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, if you have a 2-hour commute each way to work,
I
mean, that's a big chunk of your day that's already gone.
What about parents? I can't even imagine how much their schedule is just dictated.
Oh, absolutely.
By their kids' needs.
Yeah.
Right. It makes all that self-help time management advice seem so out of touch. You know, it's like telling a single parent who's working 2 jobs to just say no to things.
Yeah.
That ignores so many systemic realities.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. It's like they're living in a completely different world.
Right.
It's just not realistic for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like they just assume everyone has these 24 perfectly equal hours.
Right.
And the same level of flexibility and freedom to manage their time.
Right. And it's just so not true.
Not at all.
So if we're battling all these societal pressures, unequal access to time, and then this whole, cycle of rushing and consumption,
right?
How do we even begin to reclaim control?
Well, the authors actually offer this like really simple
Okay.
but powerful starting point.
Okay. I'm listening.
And that's just to ask why.
Okay. Break that down for me.
So basically, before you commit to anything,
Got it.
whether it's like, a big project at work or even just grabbing coffee with like a casual acquaintance,
Okay.
just take a pause and ask yourself, why am I doing this?
I gotta say, that sounds a little too simplistic.
Okay.
Like, I feel like sometimes things just need to get done.
Right. Do we really need to overthink every single decision?
I hear ya. I think it's not about, like, analyzing every tiny decision to the point where you become paralyzed.
Okay.
It's more about just cultivating awareness.
Okay.
You know, when you ask yourself why,
Yeah.
you start to uncover those, like, real motivations behind your actions.
Yeah.
Are you actually genuinely excited about this?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it out of some, like, sense of obligation, guilt, maybe even just, like, fear of missing out?
It's like shining a light on all those automatic yeses
Exactly.
we throw around without even thinking.
You got it. And sometimes the answer to that why
Yeah.
might reveal that you're, like, holding on to these outdated norms or expectations.
Okay.
Like, why are you always the one volunteering for that extra project at work?
Oh.
Is it actually beneficial? Or are you just falling into this pattern of, like, doing the emotional labor?
Ouch. Okay. Yeah, that one hit a little close to home.
Right.
Yeah, definitely been there.
And I think we've all been in those situations where we said yes to something social.
Mm-hmm.
Even though deep down we're like, ugh, I'd rather just stay home.
Yeah, or like curl up with a good book.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But, the beauty of this whole why exercise is it helps us become more intentional
Okay.
about where we direct our time and energy.
So it's not about, becoming a hermit
No, no, no.
and saying no to absolutely everything.
Right.
But it's about choosing our yeses more carefully.
Exactly. The authors really encourage us to, like, shift our time
Okay.
towards those activities and people that genuinely nourish us.
Okay.
The things that bring us joy,
Yeah.
a sense of fulfillment.
Now that it's about aligning our choices with what actually matters to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not just reacting to every external demand that comes our way.
Not being on autopilot.
Not at all. And that actually ties into, like, a really profound insight that they have in this article.
Okay.
And that's this idea that consistently asking why
Yeah.
is about more than just, like, making better decisions.
Okay.
It's about cultivating mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It's about recognizing those patterns in our behavior
Okay.
and, like, breaking free from that autopilot mode.
It's about like taking the reins and actually shaping our time,
Yeah, exactly. Instead of just feeling like we're constantly at the mercy of our calendars and our to-do lists, like, we actually have more power than we realize.
Right. And even with all those constraints, like the demanding job, the family obligations, there's still choices we can make
Absolutely.
about how we want to spend our time.
It's about finding that balance.
It is. And, it's funny.
What's that?
We often talk about time management as if it's this rigid thing.
Yeah.
Like there's these rules and productivity hacks.
Yeah, like a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
But what I'm hearing from you and from this article is that
Yeah.
it's really about something much deeper.
It is.
It's about self-awareness,
Yeah.
understanding our values, our priorities, and making conscious choices that reflect those, even if it means, like, pushing back against those societal expectations or those habits that we've developed over time.
I love that reframing.
Yeah.
It's not about cramming more into our day.
Right.
It's about making sure that the things we do spend our time on
Exactly.
actually match.
One of my favorite parts of this whole article is they quote one of their research participants and they say,
Okay.
I love time. Time lets me become.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
It just, like, captures that sense of possibility
Yeah.
that comes with taking control of our time.
Like this door opens and we can explore and grow and become who we want to be.
And it doesn't have to be this, like, massive, overwhelming change.
Okay.
It can start with these, like, small, conscious choices.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
Yeah.
into, this really fascinating world of time control,
Absolutely.
what's one key takeaway you hope our listeners are walking away with?
I think the most important thing is just to remember that time control isn't about reaching this, like, perfect level of time management.
Okay.
It's not about being a productivity robot or anything. It's about making choices that are right for you.
It's about intentionality.
Yes.
Not just efficiency.
And that starts with awareness.
Okay.
So to our listener out there, I challenge you to start asking why.
Yeah.
Just one small why that you can incorporate into your day starting today?
It could be about anything you know,
Hmm.
a commitment you're thinking about, a task you're dreading,
Yeah.
even just how you're choosing to spend your free time.
Right.
Pay attention to those answers.
Yeah.
Notice the patterns
Absolutely.
and see where that simple question leads you.
It's amazing.
You might be surprised how much control you can reclaim.
You really might.
One why at a time.
Thanks for listening today. 4 recurring narratives underlie every episode: boundary dissolution, adaptive complexity, embodied knowledge, and quantum-like uncertainty. These aren't just philosophical musings, but frameworks for understanding our modern world. We hope you continue exploring our other podcasts, responding to the content, and checking out our related articles at helioxpodcast.substack.com.